And now, Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell-Blanken. Tyler, it is Sunday, February 2nd. Yesterday was the Royal Rumble. Happy Black History Month. How we doing?
Doing great. You beat me to it. Happy Black History Month. How am I doing? I'm doing well. I'm grateful today, man. Grateful to see you. I'm grateful for all the wrestling that we're going to discuss. Like you said, one of our favorite events of the calendar year, the Royal Rumble occurred. Sure. I know we have updates on the AEW side of things. Brad Winchester, season 29 of The Bachelor premiered. You know I have thoughts for you on that. We have a new edition of Trap Tales. We have gratitude. I'm really excited for what's ahead. How are you living?
Good. I saw on Disney Plus, I saw The Bachelor pop up on the top, and I was like, I'm not clicking it, but I thought of you. I wanted to ask you this before we get into it. This was a wild week in my life in the teaching world out here in the desert Southwest. We had updates at school in the news. We had lots of things are going on that I probably am not allowed to talk about on here, so I'm going to skip it. However, we also had executive orders slinging around, and we had some other things happening. In the federal government, according to the executive order, we will not be observing Women's History or Black History Month federally anyway. Tyler, how do you think this is going to impact companies' use of promotional materials and highlighting Black wrestlers during Black History Month or Women's History Month or whatever else just got banned in the federal government? Do you think wrestling companies are still going to do this and still celebrate this? Do they spend the money on it if the federal government is not following suit? What say you?
I do. I think from a business, from a prowess, a savvy perspective, I think you have to know your audience. And you actually sent me the tweet of this. AEW tweeted, Happy Black History Month. AEW celebrates Black History Month this month and every month. I thought that was really savvy, especially given what we know about the AEW audience. We are two members of said audience. I don't know if WWE tweeted anything related to Black History Month. They certainly have in years past, but we know leadership,
video packages and everything
has ties to the administration. So, I mean, and Linda McMahon, granted previous generation, Linda McMahon is back in the cabinet, if you will, but yeah, I would honestly, and maybe this is wishful thinking, Happy Black History Month this month and every month. I would hope that wrestling companies in our context, are still going to, put out those promotional materials and still celebrate talent, employees, past, present, and future, because it's the right thing to do.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think I don't remember seeing anything from WWE, but they've certainly done video packages and interviews and highlighting people. We've seen it during Latino Heritage Month and women's History Month. I don't know that I've ever seen anything with that, but they do highlight the women's wrestlers on occasion. Yeah. So it's hard to tell, but I know, Pride Month, they've certainly done stuff. Both companies.
Merchandise as well.
Merchandise.
I mean, if anything, if it makes money, it makes sense. And I would hope that, and I think they've done this in the past, kind of certainly AEW, WWE, and other major companies, if they're going to put out a Pride Month shirt or Black History Month, a portion of the proceeds go to an organization that works, within that scope. So in my mind, if you can put out t-shirts and it makes money, and hopefully there's that attachment of actually going to the cause, I certainly think that'll continue.
Yeah, I think so too.
Regardless of proposed legislation or worry.
That's the thing that I can see happening with, with the WWE. AEW is a big company, but it's really not a big company. It has a lot of money and it has the TV contract and all that stuff, but it's really not a very big company compared to the monster that is WWE. And if you look at it from that perspective and ask yourself who runs the entire business in America, it's the WWE, and it's not even remotely close, especially now that they've signed a partnership with TNA. They have the first and third biggest companies in America under the TKO Holdings umbrella, and that's with UFC. So depending on how they look at it, you could probably make the case that the WWE owns a monopoly. And if it is a federally allowed monopoly, will the federal legislation impact their direction and their decisions on how they market, what they market to? I don't know what, if any ties they have to the government, because we know how much Vince McMahon likes the federal government. So I don't think there's any connections there whatsoever. Pretty sure all those bridges have been torpedoed and burned to the ground, but he's not in power anymore. It is now solely a publicly shared company that has ownership of, and it's more complicated than that with who has the most shares and all those things, but has ownership of WWE. I wonder what they decide ultimately for the brand, but I also feel like the more people you can market it to, the better as a business decision, and making everybody feel like they can be a part of the company and the experience is always going to be their move. But I also think the more that they interact with and do business with Saudi and other places, I don't know what will happen there. I was really appreciative of the stance, the very firm and strong stance that AEW put out right away. It was like, boom, no, this is where we are. And I hope that is not related to anything like, well, we already made promotional materials and we already printed tees and we got to sell all this stuff. I hope it's not related to any of that.
Got to move.
Yeah, we already spent a ton of money on these things. We got to get it out of here.
And Brad, I think there's also an element too of accountability. You and I, in the pre-show meeting, we're talking about all that was this past week, particularly outside of the ring. We saved the in the ring talk for the pod, but outside of the ring, in our context of education and just personally, it's kind of a check-in on each other. To your question, though, to really add on to your point, I should say, to me, it's also about accountability. Professional wrestling locker rooms are more diverse now, by and large, than certainly decades prior. And diversity means, encompasses many different aspects.
Right.
But I think there's also an accountability piece to your employees. I think we see that in our chosen profession of education. Certainly, I would think in professional wrestling, not only do you have to think from what's the best image for us as a company, but you're accountable to your employees who have a voice and who are on these posters and, bring eyeballs to your product. So I think that's also an element too, is you have to read the room. You have to know your employees and act in their best interest as well, because we know now more than ever, folks can leave. They can say, peace, I'm out if things go south.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a great point. There's layers to this, right? There's I think it makes good business sense, but also it's just inclusive and it holds everybody accountable, and that includes the talent. Well said. Tyler, accountability is important. I got to get my ass back to the gym. I have been eyeballing it every day, setting the alarm, going, I got to do this. But every night it's like, it is 11:30 and I'm awake. I cannot get up at 4 and try to go lift heavy crap. But I know you've been around the gym lately, as you said in the beginning of this episode 2 hours ago. It's time for another edition of Trap Tales. Cue up the music.
I want to start by acknowledging that I am not perfect at this by any means. In fact, last Monday, I said I'm going to get up early. I'm going to start my week right. And Brad, then I remembered, wait, it's cold, it's dark. I'm pretty cozy under the covers right now. And I missed my third alarm and just realized, okay, it's too late to go. So I want to acknowledge I am not perfect whatsoever. And my actual story for Trap Tales will also reinforce that in case my facade of perfection still exists for people. Brad Winchester, that following day on Tuesday, I said, no, I am going to get to the gym. I'm going to be one of the first people, 5 a.m. Jones. I was determined. So I got up, I did my little routine. 15 to 20 minutes later, I was out the door. And I would say about halfway, the gym's about a 5 to 7 minute drive. I would say on minute 3, minute 4, I started noticing something with my vision. I thought, wait, I did like the Cam Scadaboo ASU running back head shake. Like, let me just get my wits about me. Maybe something's off. It's just as early. I wasn't here yesterday. I wasn't doing this. I was under the cup. Let me figure this out. So I just like shake my head and figure things out. And then it dawns on me, Brad. I only have one contact. I thought I put the other one in. It felt like we were good to go, but I was in such a rush that I just forgot. But at this point, I was already halfway to the gym. I was not gonna go back. I was gonna go full Terminator, Schwarzenegger Jones. I'm just gonna spend the next hour with only one contact, and we'll figure it out. And it was fine. It was okay. And then when I got back, my missing contact was hard like a shell. It was like, okay, this is a waste of a pair. I have the 30-day TMI Jones. I have the 30-day, not the daily contacts.
Yeah, same. I got 2 weeks.
Yeah, I do the monthly one. So that, unfortunately,
mine are also monthly. They're 2 weeks, but they're monthly.
Unfortunately, that pair was just a goner. But again, I made it to the gym. I felt better. I was happy, even though my equilibrium was off for most of said visit. My question for you, though, when is the last time you were too far gone? Like me, where you left the house and you said, you know what? I don't have everything I need, but I'm committing to this. I would imagine as a teacher, we know sometimes you may forget your lunch, or you may forget your clicker or something you need. Maybe on a family trip with the girls. Give us the most recent time where you were too far gone and you chose to not turn back.
Thursday, I got to the school. I was at school. No, we did not. I was at school walking around. I find myself completely dependent on this watch. And this watch was sitting on the couch. I got ready. It was a pretty fast get ready. I was very tired. I can't remember. Maybe it was Friday. I can't remember, but it was one of the days. Now that I said, I think it was Friday, not Thursday. Thursday, I didn't leave the school until after 7 p.m. So I did like a 7 to 7 and then got in the car, drove in the dark, finally ate dinner / lunch because I didn't have lunch. I ate a bowl of cereal at like 6:15 a.m. and I'm pretty sure food did not pass my lips until 8 o'clock that following, that night. It was brutal, but I'm dependent on my watch to go like, all right, it's 10:48 and the bell is going to ring at 10:49. But my watch has a second hand. So I know right when that bell is going to ring. And then suddenly I'm like, how much time do I have left? Crap. I don't know how much time. I got to look around instead of like, I'm looking down stealthily so I'm not interrupting a kid that's spilling their heart to me, even though we're doing something unrelated. They got to tell me all their problems. So I'm looking down, going like, and I'm looking at nothing. When I realized I didn't have my watch, my first thought was, do I have the time left to get back in my car, do the 12 minute drive back to my house? And I was like, F it. It's not worth it. It's just a clock. It kind of ruined my day, but it also was like, I'm just not going back. It's not worth it. So it was very, very recent, Tyler.
This is so ironic. That Monday when I missed the 5 a.m. appointment, I got to campus and I realized I didn't have my watch as well. So this is, this is why we rock with each other. Yep. We persevere regardless.
Yeah, it seems like a hell of a thing to have to push through. Shoot, my expensive smartwatch.
Life is pretty good.
My house. Yeah, life's doing okay. The worst part about it, the worst part about it is the like extra pasty line that I have right there because I wear it constantly. It looks like I've been wearing
it's the aesthetics of it that
nobody wants to see
line.
This. Nobody wants it. Yeah, it looks like I've been wearing looks like I'm wearing a bandage. So it was a problem. I looked foolish, and I also didn't know what time it was, and it felt totally wrong. I couldn't count to 5. I couldn't count to 10. 10-second countdown, Tyler. The Royal Rumble. We got to talk about the Rumble. The little 10 picture image gimmick at the end of the hashtags this weekend on X was a lot of fun. Really liked watching this show. I can't wait to get your thoughts. Social media was all over the place with how they felt about this. People were way too in their feelings about certain things that happen. I'm excited to get your perspective. We're going to take a different approach rather than just going in order. We're going to specifically talk about parts of that order to kind of wrangle us in a little bit. We will give our basic thoughts about the two middle matches, but we're going to break down the women's and men's Royal Rumble matches just slightly differently. But we're going to start with the women's Rumble. It was the first match. We're going to hit you with our favorite moment, our favorite surprise, and our least favorite surprise of the night. I also have a little bit of a question for you there, but we'll save that if we have time to get to it. Tyler, what was your favorite moment from the women's Rumble?
I'm going full juggernaut here. Jordan Grace. I really wanted you could pick the moment for her in this match. You can pick the pop she received when her entrance music played and they announced on commentary, she's now entering the Rumble for the second time in her career, but instead of entering as a TNA talent, she is now a contracted WWE roster member. Fantastic. But I love the sequence with Piper. Yeah, and obviously the live, house didn't necessarily hear that, but it's best kept secret. Jordan Grace has been WWE bound for a long time. Her sequence with Piper Niven to lift up Piper Niven seemingly effortlessly, and then
after getting rocked and kind of no-selling it.
Didn't she hit like a rolling Death Valley driver?
Yes.
And then just popped Jordan Grace just popped right back up.
Yep.
It's incredible. Jordan Grace really showed out. Unfortunately, she didn't make it to the Final Four in this match, but that impressive feat of strength and really her entire existence in this match was really affirming, I think, for a lot of us Jordan Grace fans, that I think she's going to have a huge impact, total pun intended, in her first year as a WWE superstar. I can't wait to see what's next.
You know what? I actually changed mine from Jordan Grace. I wrote the words "the Juggernaut" on here. I added a caveat on here in the otherwise. I popped huge for the siren. I knew what that meant. I was like, "Let's go!" I was yelling in the house. I don't know if Freya or Jess were back at that point yet from shopping, but I was pretty excited. I popped huge for Trish coming out. That was awesome. I thought that was a lot of fun. She was smacking dudes around in there, and by dudes I mean not dudes. Nikki Bella though coming back, that pop she got for coming back out, we kind of knew it was happening. You were super hoping it was happening. I changed my surprise because there's something in there. I'll bring that up, but that was one of my favorite moments of the night. Just seeing Nikki Bella come back, looked great, got a huge pop, super fun for me. I'm going to go. That was my favorite moment.
I love the choice.
So the next one, it brings us to our favorite surprise, our surprise yay for the women's match. Our favorite surprise of the night. What you got?
I would go Nikki
Bella.
Women's. Yeah, I would go Nikki Bella here, but really, when we think back to Raw's debut on Netflix now, 4 weeks ago? Plus,
that sounds right.
It's been a minute. The reaction that she received from that crowd in LA, that should have been the realization that, okay, Nikki Bella is for sure going to be at the Rumble this year. If she wants to be, she has a spot, because again, it's good business. Clearly, she still resonates with the crowd. And I saw rumors online, she posted a video that perhaps this is going to be an extended run, that she's going to be appearing again.
You think Brian's got you doing push-ups?
Maybe so. Yeah. Maybe so. But what I do know, Brad, is Nikki's signature Fearless shirt back on WWE Shop. So we're up. They put that
up there right away.
They did. So I wasn't really surprised that she was there, but like you, I was elated that she made an appearance. Like you said, got a great reception from the crowd. And for a talent who we followed for years, who seems like, a really decent person. We don't know, any of these wrestlers as people, but seemingly is a really solid individual, to have the tough personal year that she did last year.
Right.
To come back, I can only imagine how good that must have felt for her. And just from a human to human level, really happy to see her, receive those proverbial flowers that you and I talk about a lot. Best surprise, though, it's got to be Alexa Bliss.
Yes.
For me.
Great
Again,
choice.
On a human level, we forget, A, just how deep this roster is on the women's side. But B, in the case of Alexa Bliss, I know for some folks, the Fiend-esque character worked, for others it didn't, but we forget that Alexa Bliss is a former world champion, former face of the division, who can go. So happy to see her back, and I think she'll definitely have a spot at WrestleMania that will be meaningful. So I'm going to go Alexa Bliss for my favorite surprise. How about you?
Yeah, that was great. She's also a bodybuilding champion. I found that out like a couple of years ago that she did like the I'm going to go flex and win awards thing. I can't remember if she's champion or runner up or what, but I know she competed and medaled and she's very successful, as is, or was, however you want to look at it, Jordan Grace. Um, both of them looked great last night. I was super pumped to see Alexa Bliss back. I'm glad they upgraded that doll, even though that doll is
Lily,
still, yes.
who is
It's
Lily? Who is Lily for, by the way? Who's that? Is that simply marketed toward kids? Because it's kind of
it's
it's
creepy.
dark.
It's
We
Annabelle,
we we wouldn't
right?
get it
Like
for Freya.
Freya would have loved it.
Oh, okay.
Now it'd probably scare her. Like we had some Christmas things out, and she was like, "They're looking at me. Get him out of here." So, yeah, I don't think Lily's going into the house anytime soon. Yeah, man, like that was amazing. That was so good. I can't believe I didn't put that on there. I was yelling at my TV too. I was also thought it was hilarious that Michael Cole was. I thought the internet said that she wasn't coming back. It's like, all right, like calm down. She wasn't. This came together at the
Didn't
last
Wade
night.
Barrett use
Okay.
the term the dirt sheets?
More than once, I think last night. Yeah, taking out Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer, who also reported 4 hours before that she was coming back. So you also have to take that into consideration. They probably didn't see it, and then eventually it was like, well, no, actually she's coming back. So I don't know. Whatever it may be, whatever happened. I don't really care. I like when the dirt sheets get it wrong. The dirt. I just dirt sheets and news reporting are two different things, and some of them I consider dirt sheets, and some of them I don't. Shout out to Fightful. So my surprise, Tyler, is kind of cheating here. It's not one big surprise. I was pleasantly surprised at how much NXT talent was in this match, being highlighted, being showcased. We had Roxanne Perez in the final four. Julia was in there and was awesome. We got to talk about that in a second. Lash Legend, Jada Parker, Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie got a huge pop when she came out. That made me really happy. If people didn't know, now they do. Julia, though, the NXT champ came out to almost nothing, to silence. The standoff with her and Io. We're going to have a conversation about this later on, Tyler, because I blame the music. But that moment gave me hope. We're going to get the eventual Julia and Io moment. That match, whoo, boy, is that going to feed families and generations. That's going to be awesome. Hopefully Stephanie gets called up soon. Hopefully Roxanne, I think, is next one up. This felt like very reminiscent of Rhea Ripley, being an NXT star, but being at the end with Bianca, having Roxanne being in there with Charlotte. Super cool. Huge surprise for me. That women's division is doing really, really, really well. We need Evolution too, desperately. Awesome surprise.
I think we've been calling for an evolution too since gimmick infringement was
We started this
founded.
pod and we're
I
like,
think,
where's Evolution 2?
I think that was one of our foundational
Yeah.
points on one of the opening episodes. I know we've said it multiple times
because we were
on
like,
here.
oh, the NWA is doing an all-women's thing.
I mean, come on, the
And it's the
NWA
NWA,
is
yeah.
doing this. Come on, what are we talking about? And we've had the same, call to AEW, the same call to action, which has not happened yet. I love what you said about NXT's presence, all the talent you mentioned, especially Lash Legend. Lash Legend is
Lash Legend,
and maybe part of. I mean, if we're looking at the pie chart for our love for Lash Legend, the majority of it is simply her talent, her brilliance, her potential. I wonder if part of it too is we haven't seen Jade Cargill in a minute. And if we're talking about a powerhouse in the division, especially with Jade's absence and Lash's elevation, I feel like we're getting that void filled. Lash has got it, Brad. I think she is really
also she's flatly she's just better in the ring.
Low key.
She can do more, I should say.
One of the most slept on NXT talents right now, either division. Lash Legend, she's been doing great tag work with Jakara Jackson. I just think she has such a bright future as a multi-time singles world champion. She was incredible during this Rumble match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the standoff, I love the four black women standing proudly in the center of the ring, standing up, and Chelsea Green getting in the middle of
go back and that be my favorite moment? I
Oh,
love Jordan Grace. Can I
she
go
got
back to
she
that
got the
moment?
Hulk Hogan 2K spot in the middle of that match.
That's
That was
crazy. That's crazy and accurate.
I mean, everybody was laughing. Nobody was cheering. Everybody was just laughing.
This isn't one of our categories, but biggest winner, not named Charlotte, who obviously won the match and it's
Sure.
been a main event of WrestleMania.
Looks great too.
Phenomenal. So happy she's back. Biggest winner, not named Charlotte Flair, Chelsea Green.
Yeah.
Over like Rover.
People were so mad when she got eliminated.
She is a heel,
Yes.
and yet the crowd
Nobody cares.
absolutely in the palm of her hand.
It was so good, man. Oh, so good. I thought Charlotte Flair, when I don't know if you watched the press conference, but
I did, yeah.
So did I. And she talked about her confidence, and she went out there and looked, man, I think she reminded every single person how good she is. It's like, I've been around in a while. I came back after having to be out, and then I got hurt pretty fast after that. Now I'm back, and you guys are all awesome, but I'm here and everybody's trying to catch me. I think she reminded a lot of people how great she is, and the ceiling's still really high for her. And I can't wait to see what happens here. I'm not saying like throw the strap on her right away, but I'm really excited to see her in the main event. I wonder who she happens there.
I wonder who she goes for. I thought it was a foregone conclusion. It's Tiffany Stratton, but is there something to be said for running it back with Rhea Ripley?
That could be really good, but we have Elimination Chamber in there.
We do.
Raquel winning Elimination Chamber, or somebody else in there winning Elimination Chamber would make a lot of sense for Rhea as well. So
should I give up on my Bianca versus Rhea dream?
That's why I kind of picked Bianca. I thought that's what they were going for. So maybe it's Bianca in Elimination Chamber, but I don't know.
That's such a WrestleMania main event. That has to happen at some point.
Well, at some point, Jade's going to come back. I imagine it's going to be this week. My thought is like they're going to have the Fallout episode and treat it like a Raw after WrestleMania, and have Jade come back to full on attack Naomi, who definitely is the one that injured Jade. They were already teasing stuff with Naomi, like Naomi talking to other people. Was it Lash? I can't remember. And Bianca wasn't having any of it.
Yeah. It was. Oh, this going back to Jordan Grace. Naomi and Jordan Grace had a moment in the ring. They had a feud in TNA. They hugged, and Bianca said, "Wait, what? I tell me I don't see. I'm not seeing what I just saw. Where you're building friendships in this."
There was a bunch of TNA stars that were in the ring, like former great. TNA champs and stars.
And you give it up for
Chelsea
Steph.
Green. We already talked about.
We usually have Steph Watch on the show. Stephanie Vaquer was great. Like you said, Julia lacking in fan response, but so happy to see her in the match. Roxanne Perez. Of course, she would be one of the first two entrants, set a record for length of time in the match, and just really show out. The fact that Roxanne Perez is 23 and already has
a prodigy.
It's in her nickname. She is the prodigy. I can't wait to see what she does on the main roster. Like you said, hopefully sooner than later. I think Steph Vaquer may take that NXT North American Women's title off Fallon Henley at Vengeance Day. I think she's probably going to stay in NXT for a little while. But Roxanne Perez, my goodness, she needs to have a title match at WrestleMania.
I need Stephanie to get called up, and whoever she faces for the championship should just hand it to her.
She's one of my favorite wrestlers in the world.
Me too.
She's fantastic. Like you said, the roster is just, if there were any a year to finally have Evolution 2, Brad, come on now. Who do we need to call? Who do we need to get on the phone to make it happen this year? This match should have solidified. We need it. It's going to draw. Please, WWE, make this happen.
Yeah. What was it? Perfect? No, there were some spots in it where I was like, oh, I wish this person was there or that person was there, and they weren't. But there were some moments in there that were like just fun. I love the Rumble because there's still fun spots, and it's like, okay, that person didn't win or isn't going to win, but it's going to be awesome anyway. And that was Maxine Dupree for me.
Maxine Dupree,
reverse
caterpillar.
Yeah, that made
Zelina Vega.
That was awesome. Yeah. So, she's so good.
EO, you brought up one of the best women's wrestlers, one of the best wrestlers on the planet. It's amazing.
There was so much talent in that ring. I love this match. My surprise, I already talked about it. It was the crowd reaction to Julia. It just really pissed me off. Rubbed me the wrong way that you're going to go like, this is one of the best talents in the world. NXT champion, consistently putting out good stuff. Great look, great, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's a character that you don't really identify with because it's really hard to figure it out. But my God.
I think so. I think she's still working through that.
And that's why I think like Stephanie, I don't know. The way the crowd responded there, I think she's next between the
Yeah,
two.
yeah. I think she's already resonated with the fan base, even
Yeah.
before Rumble. Just looking at NXT week to week, she's resonated with the fan base a bit more
Yeah.
strongly and more consistently than Julia has. Even though, to your point, Julia is the NXT champ right now, when Steph is without gold at the moment.
And I thought like in there's some other people that had like Natalia's pop was awesome. Getting to see her go into the Rumble again was great. Really great to see her. She looked awesome. Always doing great stuff. I always love watching her sell. I also always love watching her either throw a forearm shiver or a kick because someone's just getting kicked. Like it's never like I'm gonna gimmick up this kick. No, I'm just gonna kick you. It's what I always like about Thunder Rosa. It's what I like watching all the Joshi wrestlers. If they're gonna throw a kick, you're just getting kicked. You're just eating that kick. Man, it was a fun match. A lot of people were like, "This is the worst match I've seen. This wasn't as good as last year or the year before." I liked this match as much, if not more, than either of those. I thought this was a ton of fun. There were some good surprises, but it was just a good match. It was just fun, and we got to see a lot of talent. My question is, well, I got a brief question here. Okay, so they have a ton of stars. Tyler, why didn't it feel like they had the level of stardom as the men's match?
It's all about the build. There was so much investment put into promoting the men's match. And I know they say this every year. I was watching the press conference. Seems like they always say, this is the biggest Royal Rumble, the biggest match ever.
Right.
But there was real credence to that on the men's side because you had so many viable options to main event WrestleMania. And we'll get to the men's match. I was actually quite surprised with who won.
Yeah.
But there were 7 to 8 guys in that match where you thought, oh yeah, they're year in and year out a legit main event talent for the biggest show of the year. For the women, I would argue you have just as talented of a field, but the build for that match, it just wasn't the same as the men's match. Heading into this year, to me, it was no doubt that the women were going to open the show
Yeah,
and
me
the
too.
men were going to close it. It was just,
Yeah.
it was so much of a contrast in terms of how they promoted this show, and particularly for who was going to win. At least on the men's side, you had multiple options. On the women's side, it was evident this was Charlotte Flair's Royal Rumble to lose. She
Yeah, you got the
won.
video packages.
Of course, predictable is not always bad,
Right.
but there was just seemingly a lack of investment in the build to the women's
Yeah.
as opposed to the men's, and I think that was reflected in maybe some of the discourse or reactions or lack thereof that we saw.
I think coming out of it, thinking about like, well, Charlotte won, and we knew Charlotte was going to win, and the fact that the reason we knew Charlotte was going to win is because there was literally no other viable option outside of people that already had gold or are already in feuds. You start looking at it, and it's like, are they really going to take this person that's not doing anything right now and put them in the main event of WrestleMania? I thought it would have been a really cool idea to take somebody from NXT and put them in the main event at WrestleMania, because that would have made everybody go like, what just happened? Like I knew they weren't going to do it with a TNA star because we didn't have any. We had recently signed to WWE former TNA star Jordan Grace, but not the other way around, So it wasn't like Mickie James, who was champ at the time, or Jordan Grace when she was champ last year, but still in TNA. That would have been different. Both of them got to be showcased. I still thought it was awesome. I love that we got all this talent in there, but it felt weird because it was like, well, yeah, who wins? Because I would have loved it if it were Stephanie, because Stephanie feels like an immediate viable option and a threat straight out of NXT. But that is a heck of a transition to go like, yeah, you've been working WWE style and TV for 5 months, 4 months, whatever it's been. Go ahead and go to the biggest show. They call it the Showcase of Immortals, and you're starring in it. Like,
No pressure.
yeah.
He is the tallest 5'3" person
Yep.
I think I've ever seen on television. The aura's there. Everything you need is there. I thought about this during the match yesterday. I know we're recording on Sunday, and Royal Rumble was yesterday evening. If Bianca Belair was not tag team champion, if it were say her and Charlotte in the final two, I don't know who would have won that match, because to me, Bianca versus Rhea
Yeah.
is also a WrestleMania main event that you have awaiting.
Yep.
So I just think, strategically, the final three in that match yesterday were Nia Jax, Roxanne Perez, and Charlotte Flair. It was a foregone conclusion that Charlotte was winning. If you have Bianca versus Charlotte as the final two, to me, it's much more up in the air of who's going to win, and I'm really invested on, well, which direction are they going to take
Yep.
this. But Roxanne was not going to win, and Nia just had a lengthy run as champ. She was not going to get the dub. So it wasn't a perfect match by any means, but just the sheer depth of talent, and like you said, the star making performances that a lot of the women had. And even Jada Parker, I was disappointed that Indy didn't seem to give it up for Jada like I thought they would. My
Yeah.
recollection is they were pretty quiet. So
Yeah.
I want to keep an eye out on what some of the paths are for the talent in this match moving forward, because maybe there needs to be some more work done on the character end of things, or maybe Indy was just sleeping on them, and they got to do better next time. Respectfully to our Indiana fans out there. How can I give it up for Jada Parker? She was killing it all 2024.
Disrespectfully to them, they did Julia dirty. I don't care. Like, screw them. Go eat your St. Elmo's and shut up. So, tag matches, Tyler. What did you think about the tag match?
Yeah,
I was wrong.
I you may remember I correctly predicted this match. We made our appearance on Mag and Matt. Yes, Rob and Maggie's. I was calling her Mag.
It's like, why'd you short? What's up, Mag?
Yeah.
Good old Mags.
Rob and Maggie's coexisting on Fightful Overbooked. We sent our predictions, and shout out to them. Check out the work they're doing every Friday afternoon. I correctly predicted this match, Brad. I'm going to flex about it. I knew DIY was going to win this. I actually thought the match was going to be much longer, but
yeah,
well worked. I love DIY channeling their inner FTR for this. Personally, I'm not ready for this iteration of their tag run to end, so I was happy with it. Well worked match, and I wish they would have been given 5 more minutes.
Yeah, I agree. It felt like they had to shave time off for some reason, so they did the first fall really fast, which I thought was awesome. By the way, like I thought he tagged in, but he's nope. I love those. I thought a 2 out of 3 falls was really cool. I don't know that the crowd was very invested in this match. I like both of them. I really like heel DIY. I think they're great. I think they're better as heels than as baby faces. I just like MCMG, and I don't know how much, how long of a run you have with people that have been doing it for over 20 years. It's, like the more we can get them spotlighted, the better. But there's also a whole bunch of other tag team stars that are I feel like waiting in the wings. You got heel New Day. I feel like that's probably the move to take the belts at some point, but I don't think they'll take it off of a heel DIY. Who do you cheer for when you want both of them to lose? I don't know who's next. Profits, War Raiders. I'm not really sure who it is, but the division starting to look healthier, starting to look a little better. And I'm glad that tag team wrestling got highlighted on the show. It felt both too short and too bathroom breaky to me. Like put there to let you go like, well, that match was an hour long. I'm going to go get something to eat. I'll catch the second fall maybe. Or maybe it's just me, because that's what I did. I did miss the first fall thinking it wouldn't happen that quickly. I went to the bathroom, got up, got some chips, and by the time I sat down, it was already 1-0. And I was like, what just happened?
Yeah, no, I hear you. You're on to something.
Tyler, the ladder match. Whew. I'm sore. They really went into it on this thing. What'd you think?
That Alabama slam was
wow.
It was wow, and it was perfectly executed. For that to be the crescendo of the match, where at this point Kevin Owens is done. Cody Rhodes needs to get in that ring, climb that ladder, and retrieve those titles. Ladder matches should include a certain level of brutality, and these two guys absolutely delivered. The right guy won. Again, predictable is not always bad. I did not for a second believe Kevin Owens was going to win this match,
Right.
but it was well worked. It really, given the grudge level of this feud, of the build to this match, I thought the actual in-ring work totally delivered in and outside of the ring. That Alabama slam was wild. And I like that we're getting some character development in Cody Rhodes. It seems like he has a new edge to him. And I can't wait to see, what that has in store on the road to WrestleMania. How about you?
Yeah, I really liked everything. The end was just very slow and plodding.
It was
Like
plotting.
I
It
did
was.
not care for how slowly the end happened because it was just felt really anticlimactic. Maybe that's what they were going for. Was I brutalized this guy so badly that I'm going to make you sit there with it and go like, oh, he never
Yeah,
got
we
up.
really had to sit in our feelings for a long
Yeah,
time. I'd Sami Zayn coming to check on
too
KO.
long. I think that was the part. It just took forever
Interesting.
to get there, and I was just like, sort of like, "Hey, it's over. You won. We knew he's going to win because he took 5 minutes to get in the ladder."
Yeah. And hopefully Kevin Owens is still alive. And
I hope so. Yeah, dude. I don't know. I felt like it was super brutal. It was exactly what they needed to do for this feud to end the feud and to kind of move on. It gave that wrinkle to Cody. If Cody does have a heel turn or a shades of gray on the darker side turn, however you want to look at that, this is the start of it. I have no doubts about that because ultimately, Michael Cole is wrong when he's like, Kevin Owens only did this to himself. This is all his fault. Yada yada yada. It's like KO's right. KO was totally right. KO's been justified this entire time, as has Drew. Like these people have been correct. How they handled it, okay, different, but they've been right the entire time. And I think the way that Cody teed off on him with Sammy out there, Sammy's the next thing. I think Sammy's going to want to get in and fight Cody for how he almost murdered Kevin Owens. I think that will get the crowd to turn on him a little bit when Cody does the same thing to Sammy, and that will ultimately lead to maybe the bloodline feud. Maybe that's when. So I had this thought: what is CM Punk going to do at Mania? Because he lost that spot. So here's my thought. Because I thought like the move would be Roman Reigns wins, right? He wins the Rumble. He eliminates Cody, which sort of happened. Just, not by somebody I wanted it to be. We'll get there. Roman is going to go main event. Punk takes it from him by calling in the favor from Paul Heyman. I think that could still happen. And I could very easily see that happen with Jay. Punk's like, I'm calling in the favor. I want Jay's spot at WrestleMania.
wow.
Give me that spot. And obviously that's not going to happen unless they have a match. And maybe that's the Elimination Chamber match that we all look forward to. That's just or do we have like a crown jewel baked in there somewhere between now and Mania? I can't remember.
I sure hope not.
We might have something floating around in there that I can't remember. But if we do, that would be that match for going like kind of like wrestling for the Money in the Bank contract, even though it's not Money in the Bank, one of those deals. But I could see the favor involving I want that spot because I lost that spot, and maybe we don't see that until after Chamber. I'm not sure,
So
but
potentially a Shades of Gray Punk versus a Shades of Gray Cody.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or not. I don't know what happens here. I can just see like maybe they run back Roman and Cody again for a third time, where Roman goes in there as a babyface defending Jay, and I don't know. Maybe it's for the title. Maybe it's at that point. Maybe it's not. I don't really know. But I could see that being the flip where people are not on Cody's side anymore. Because you remember how fast it turned for getting Sammy to be the biggest star in WWE for like a month. They could build that very easily and very quickly to that point. Does The Rock have a role in all this? Probably not. Doesn't sound like it. I just think that there's so many different possible storylines that came out of the Rumble and this ladder match with Cody that we can't even come close to accurately predicting what's going to happen at Mania. And then we know that if they screw it up, they're going to have the wherewithal to change it so that we're all happy like they did last year. Because it ended up being great when it was going to be terrible. So
Well said.
we'll see what happens. So I just got a text about food being done. And I was like, if we're done recording, we're going $1.50 at least. Tyler, the men's Royal Rumble, speaking of an hour-long match or an hour-long podcast, the men's Royal Rumble, we got to go into favorite moment, favorite surprise, least favorite surprise. Hit me with your favorite moment.
Yeah. Lots of candidates for this one.
Yeah.
It's got to be Braun Breaker. And again, much like Jordan Grace, you can pick the Braun Breaker moment in this match. I'm good with it. There was what's that dude's name? I Show Speed, the streamer, who just got wrecked by Braun Breaker, which makes me want to like this I Show Speed guy. I know nothing about him, but that was an incredible moment. I've never laughed so hard during a Royal Rumble match.
Yeah, same.
I swear to you, since I've been watching wrestling, that
I was cackling
during that moment.
I yelled out instant concussion. That's what I yelled into the kitchen at Jess, who was cleaning up.
Hilarious. Shout out Jess. That was honestly number 3 on my favorite Braun Breaker moments. In terms of my favorite moment, it's really between 2 for me that involved Braun. It was the stare down with Jacob Fatu. That could easily be a WrestleMania match. Speaking of bouts we want to book for April. But actually, what's going to win my favorite moment is Braun Breaker versus Roman Reigns. In this match. Braun spears Roman out of his boots, goes to toss him over the rope, but Roman counters him. Roman eliminates Braun. Not a huge fan of that from a psychological perspective. I thought Braun Breaker spear was the most dangerous finisher in WWE. How can Roman because he's Roman, pal, right? So he throws Braun Breaker over, but just Braun in this match, although he was eliminated well before the final 4, the way he was booked in this match as a viewer, you got the impression, oh, he's a dude. I got to look out for him. The way he was presented was, this guy is up next. And I love that for Braun Breaker. So I'm going to say the interaction with him and Roman, and particularly all the spears he dished out, because he's really finding his groove on the main roster. And I can't wait to see what's ahead for him. I'm as high as anyone on Braun. I think it's world championship title reigns, plural, for him. But I love that he was presented as a dude in this match, and I think he has a very bright future this year.
My favorite moment, it's not even close. All of those are great candidates. I thought Braun tossing him out into Otis's arms and then Otis throwing him into the table.
That elicited a lot of laughs in Glendale too. Yeah.
I mean, it was all just so funny.
Just ragdoll.
Yeah.
This is a grown man.
He was already definitely concussed. The way he hit the mat, like levered himself into it, kind of the way that I wonder if Finn Balor's okay, because he got tossed out, and it looked like Braun was supposed to be there to catch him, and he caught his legs, and then he just sort of pivoted into the ground, and Braun like swore and then walked off because he's like, what am I going to do? I'm not an EMT, and then just dipped. But it was like, I'm pretty sure Finn died because Braun just missed him. And then he walked off. So there were a couple of moments in there I was like, moments where, Speed died and tore his leg up on the announce table, like pretty badly. I saw it, Logan Paul looking at him when he came back. He was limping and stuff. And it just looked sort of like the skin had been just peeled in about a 2-inch strip away from his leg. It was pretty nasty. And, there were a couple of other moments, but right away, first people in, Penta's feet definitely hit the ground. I was screenshotting and going in reverse, trying to make a justification for
did you go full Zapruder?
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to maybe from that angle it didn't work, and WWE usually hits you with a different angle. No, his feet just hit the ground. They should have called it. They should have just been like, "Nah, you're out of here."
Yeah,
you could pivot pretty easily.
But him versus Ray, that was a vibe. That was a good call.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like that they just sort of LWO'd the first 4. I thought the first first 14 people in the match, I was kind of like, all right, there's a lot of talent in here and none of these people are winning, but there's a lot of talent in here. So, all right, I guess I'll be okay with watching this. There were some fun moments, but it was ultimately kind of like none of the star power was in it yet. Like respect was in it, but not the star power. Like I keep saying star. Rey Mysterio being in it, for example, like nobody's like, yeah, it's Rey's time. Nobody was thinking that. Nobody thought the next person, the 15th candidate, was in, but that was my moment. Tyler, Joe Hendry. It's Joe Hendry. They hit say his name and the crowd went unglued. Awesome moment. Just Joe Hendry showing up. It's what I wanted. It's what I predicted. I said he's got to have the strap before they let him come down that ring. He had the strap. They let him come down the ring. That was the move. Get him strapped up in TNA so they can have the TNA champ in the Rumble. They're not going to throw Moose out there. They're not going to put Josh Alexander out there. They're going to have the champ, not a champ, come out and represent TNA. I thought it was awesome. I thought he had some fun moments. At first, when he was like tossing dudes around and knocking them out and turned around and looked at the crowd and threw his arms up, I thought, oh, he didn't find the hard cam. And I went, oh, I wonder if he's going to spin to the camera. And he absolutely turned around and spun to the camera, did the little Joe Hendry look move. Oh, it's so good. I loved it. It was just a ton of fun. We all knew he had no shot, but it was just really cool to see him in there, get that moment. I hope that's not the last one because to your point, like sometimes you just acknowledge that somebody's just super over. And I don't know that he comes to the WWE and has that theme song. I don't know if he has a run here or not, but I really hope so. If they can keep that kind of momentum going, use them kind of sparingly for those kinds of moments in WWE. And I think it'll pay off dividends for them because that was awesome.
Yeah, he's a natural fit for the company. Yeah. I wish that, and I know typically by the time you hit the ring, that's when your music stops. I wish that we could have got the wave your hands from side to side part of his entrance because they cut it off right before that.
Wave your hands side to side and say, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry's so prestigious. Those are the lyrics. Nuts.
It's fantastic. And he's doing great work. He has been for a long time in TNA. He finally got that crowning victory against Nick Nemeth at Genesis. Yeah, not surprising that he popped up in this Rumble, but fantastic to see him get that response. And he's a natural fit in WWE. I would not be surprised if it's a very similar trajectory to Jordan Grace, where, okay, we do great work in TNA for the next year plus, and then his next move will be, getting the picture with Triple H in gorilla position.
He did better in this battle royal than he did in the NXT one, where he was in there for.
He certainly did. You called that last week.
Seconds, whatever it was.
Yeah. Luckily, he lasted much longer than he did in that NXT performance. Yeah, Joe Hendry, great pick. I love it.
One of the moments though within that was Sheamus, like when he got punched or whatever it was. I was enjoying that. I believe in Joe Hendry. Like it was just so
partner
funny.
Right there.
And then I'm going to stare. It was a stare down with Jacob Fatu, I believe. And then the countdown started, and then the next entrant came out. I don't even remember who it was. I was too invested in Joe Hendry and how funny Sheamus was in that moment. That was also good. And I love that after he got eliminated, he went on Twitter, Sheamus did, and was like, I really was enjoying Joe Hendry. It was his first thing he said after the Rumble. I thought that was great. Tyler, what was your favorite surprise?
Favorite surprise? Wow. Okay. I know the opposite.
Mine's easy.
I have the opposite ready to go. Favorite surprise? It's got to be the winner.
Yep.
Honestly, Jey Uso getting the victory.
Same.
It really, that moment checked me. I know this isn't a moment. This is a surprise. That surprise checked me as a fan because I thought prediction was as good as gold. John Cena or CM Punk. I actually thought Punk was going to win, but definitely John Cena or CM Punk were going to leave victorious. And when it got to the final two of main event Jey Uso versus John Cena, big match John, I thought, oh, this is a layup. Of course, John's going to win. And when Jey pushed him off the apron and the bell rings, Jey Uso has won the match. He's going to the main event of WrestleMania. Yep. I was shook. That was my favorite surprise in this match.
It makes sense. There's very few people getting the same level of reaction from somebody in the ring, what they're doing when they win, when they enter. It's main event Jey. Like he's the guy right now. What you said is his time. It's like it's his time, but it's not his moment. Like he's ready, but it's not his moment. I think, like unless there's some tomfoolery in there, I want to say Punk would go after Jay, and that does make sense to me still as the favor. I just because or maybe the favor is Jay gets to challenge for a title in the main event. Maybe he goes after Cody, maybe he goes after Gunther, which makes a lot of sense there. But Punk's favor is like, I want to be in it too. Put me in with the triple threat so I can be one of the main eventers. That would make sense. Because I think the WrestleMania move here after what happened after the eliminations has to be finally Rollins and Reigns. It has to be. I mean, Rollins stomped him like 15 times. It was like on the floor. Heyman, what's wrong with you? On the floor. And then he does it on the steps. Like that's going to happen. Everybody was getting stomps from Rollins after that. That was great.
Did you foresee a scenario where we get a triple threat at Mania?
That's what
Reigns
I'm saying. Yeah.
v. Rollins v. Punk. I mean,
Ooh.
that by itself could be a main event.
Yeah, but for no title, I don't think Punk would do it. I don't think Punk would do it for no title.
Maybe that's a number one contender match, or maybe
he wants
any stipulation.
He's not there to make friends. He's there to make money. But I also know that winning the championship makes money. So we'll see. Because I don't really want Punk involved. This is such a personal thing. Roman and Rollins, I want to see happen in a Hell in a Cell.
That's true. Like there's just so much history between those guys. It's just that it's going to be amazing. Forget the match itself, just the build to it. You're showing footage and comments from 10 plus years ago, FCW footage. It's really been a master class at storytelling, and these guys are going to have so much material to work with if it ends up being the grudge match we've been waiting for. Rollins v. Reigns.
I hope so, and I hope it's a Hell in a Cell, because I think Triple H is since he's been there, he's not treating the Hell in a Cell as a pay-per-view event and just shoehorning crap in there. It's what it used to be. It's this match where it's like we've had all these other things happen, and the only solution now is to lock you in there and figure it out. Because like Roman and Seth in a fight pit don't make sense. And Seth, I don't know if Seth would want to do another one of those after losing the last one. That feels like a fever dream at this point.
You're not going to do Underground. That's Lola Vice's match.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, there's just so many possibilities going into Mania. I'm excited to see what they cook up, because at some point you got to fit John Cena in all this. So that was also my surprise. My favorite surprise was Jay winning. I think it's great. I was going to wear the Yeet hat, but I was turned down by the owner. So my surprise nay is probably going to be the same as yours. So go ahead.
The lack of black talent in this match.
It is not similar though.
But
I also was surprised by this. I was like, wait a second.
By my calculations, the black talent that were in the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble match were Carmelo Hayes and I Show Speed. What are we doing here? The fact that we didn't get... I've wanted Montez Ford to win the Royal Rumble match for multiple years. It has not happened yet. Consistent. I know he's staying in the tag division. We love Angelo Dawkins as well. But Montez Ford has been ready. What are we doing here? I really thought we were going to get Trick Williams and then possibly Obafemi.
Yeah.
We got neither. I'll repeat myself.
Carmelo, no New Day either.
No New Day,
no
Brad.
Kofi spot.
No Big E. Hopefully if he's healthy one day. But I'll repeat myself for you. Carmelo Hayes and I Show Speed. That was a big nay for me.
Yeah, that's a great point. Mine was Punk eliminated Roman and Seth, which I thought was cool. Logan Paul eliminated AJ Styles and CM Punk.
AJ Styles, the phenomenal one. I've heard of him.
Now, the only reason I think this is a nay isn't just because of Logan Paul. It's like, that's fine. Like, people are booing the crap out of it. Lead into it. That's great. That's awesome.
Always cathartic.
You always want to see, like, the whole point of pro wrestling is to build it up. So you want to pay to see the bad guy get beat up.
Did you see that fan sign over the weekend? Prime tastes bad.
Yes.
I forget which show that was. I don't know if that was at the Rumble. I was like, that's brilliant. Please continue.
I saw Johnny TNT on a sign at the Rumble too. I was like, wow, I feel like for most of the people there, that's probably a deep cut, because they have no idea what you're doing. But uh, it's putting all this heat on this guy who already has like nuclear heat to what, disappear for 2 months. So it just feels like that felt like it was for nothing, because you can't build a storyline out of that. There's no build to that other than to make him even more hated. But I don't know that he's super. I don't know that furthered any storylines or anything like that. And maybe it doesn't need to. Maybe it just needs to be a moment to remind you that this guy is uh, somebody you should hate, and that's why they did it. But it just really bugged me that it's like you could have given that to somebody else and have a feud come out of it. Instead, like, do we really want to see CM Punk versus Logan Paul? Because it's going to be AJ Styles versus Logan Paul, which will probably end up being a ton of fun.
Definitely. That's the main match.
And that's probably it. But that's a long time away. So it's just, I don't know. By then, were we really going to care? Or do we want AJ in his, final few years or year, however long he's got left, being in feuds with Logan Paul when he could be doing something else? I don't know.
Yeah, he looks great. I was watching old TNA footage over the last few days, and I forget how influential AJ Styles has been to my fandom of pro wrestling. He's on everyone's TNA Mount Rushmore, and I spent hours upon hours of my adolescence, Brad, watching AJ put on incredible matches. I agree with you. I want these golden years of his career to be meaningful, and I'm sure if done right, the match with Logan Paul is going to have many viral moments. I know that's Logan Paul's gimmick, but I just want something different for AJ.
Completely agree, but we don't always get what we want. I'm sure people looking for love also don't always get what they want. And Tyler, I know you like The Bachelor, where people are looking for love and probably aren't getting what they want. And what they want is a rose. So give us one. Play the music. It's time for a rose from Tyler.
And now, for a rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
Before I get into the recap of the season premiere, Brad, in case you didn't see, Rachel Kirkconnell went on the Call Her Daddy podcast. It went viral, just I think millions of listens and views by this point, to debrief on the breakup with Matt, the inaugural Black Bachelor. And Matt, apparently a real heel turn, not a great dude.
Oh no.
And again, this is not a great omen for Grant Ellis, our new Bachelor. But all that aside, I enjoyed the debut episode, the season debut, as it were. There's lots of reasons to be hopeful for this season. Grant just seems like a cool dude. His big sister played a really huge role in this premiere episode. She was involved. She met the women. It was a whole reveal. They seem to have a lot of just genuine love for each other. The budget has also improved for this season. They definitely did Jen Tran dirty when they just didn't really go anywhere, but it seems like they've improved that for Grant, which is unfortunate, but it's a thing, and hopefully will lead to good television. Okay, Brad.
Is the music still terrible?
Bad? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You would loathe it for sure.
Yeah.
You may recall last week, I told you my choice for best fun fact in the cast was Carolina, the 28-year-old PR producer from Puerto Rico. It turns out she is a front runner. Her and Grant have great chemistry. She is still multilingual. That was the fun fact: English, Spanish, and French. She had a great debut. The biggest leap for me on the cast for the debut episode, Juliana, also 28. She's a client service associate from Massachusetts. She has a huge Italian family. She plays the piano, and Grant appears to be totally into her. We will see what happens there. Finally, the best gimmick, very on brand. I'm going with Alex. She's the pediatric speech therapist from Canada. She brought a llama to the debut episode, and my recollection is she works with kids and the community, and she grew up with animals. So this makes me think back again to last season with Jen Tran, and there was that dude Jonathan who had a gimmick where he wore like a mask of some sort during the debut, and it just seemed really silly, and he was going to get the boot right off the bat. Jonathan ended up making it to the Final Four, and I think Alex may have that in her future as well. We shall see. 2 more points for you. Latia, she had a strong debut. She is a member of the LDS Church. She's from Hawaii. I don't know if this is going to work, Brad. When I was in college, I was interested in someone who's LDS. She's amazing. I think there's a pretty strong rule that you have to be with a fellow member of the church. And I don't know that Grant is LDS. So I wonder if at some point that may cause some friction. I don't know if we're going to see any of this, but I just wonder if that's going to maybe block Latia from making it to the end if Grant, isn't necessarily a religious fellow.
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are.
That's a pretty strong rule, right? You got to be a part of the church or join the church. That may not be unique to LDS either, but from my personal experience, that's a pretty standard requirement.
Yeah, that would be pretty tough to have I don't know how you have a successful relationship if you don't have the same fundamental foundational belief system.
Yeah, you're going to go to service and I'm just going to hang out watching Sports Center. I don't think that's going to. Maybe TMI. Maybe this is just me projecting.
No,
maybe
no. It's just really funny. I'm just thinking about
it's not a monolith.
It's like, all right, 10:45 church starts, but that's like 20 minutes into kickoff. Hold up. Yeah, I get it. But it was great living out in Eastern time zone because we could go to church. Church was done around noon. In the car back home for 1:00 kickoff. That was always the priority. When we come out of church, it was like, okay, we could stop at Ernie's party store. You and your brother can get a pack of baseball, basketball, football cards, and then we're off to the house. And we will not miss kickoff. We will be there to watch Madden circle things, and Pat Summerall call the game. But yeah, if you're not on that same, it's got to be wavelength.
Tough. And my mom is the daughter of a pastor, so I get it. For a lot of families, Sundays is dedicated to the Lord, it's dedicated to service and nothing else. So I wonder, again, vibes, the chemistry, it seemed pretty good with Latia from Hawaii. I just wonder if her religious affiliation, I wonder if that's something that Grant's going to embrace or if it may cause some hesitancy. We shall see. My final point, Brad, I made my Final Four prediction last week. I have Ella, the 25-year-old luxury travel host from LA, Zoe, the 27-year-old tech engineer and model from New York, and Rebecca, the 31-year-old ICU nurse from Dallas. All 3 women advanced. They did receive roses. However, Janae, who I told you was my low-key pick to win it all.
Yes.
She got booted.
Crazy.
She didn't make it. 28-year-old account coordinator from Colorado. She is gone. And she had basketball in her bio. She loves watching. She loves playing. And surprisingly, one of my takeaways was that Grant didn't really lean in to the contestants who are into basketball, right? Maybe that's silly. Like Grant is more than just basketball being a part of his personality. But it really backfired for Janae. She got the boot. I was shook. And we'll see what happens. 3 of my 4 picks are still in it. I will be sure to let you know how week 2 goes. If you are following this franchise, if you are following Grant Ellis' season, let us know what you think. Drop a comment below of your predictions or your takeaways from the debut. Of course, you can also follow us and find us on social at GIPod19. Let us know what you think. Who's your Final Four? And again, I will be back next week with my week 2 updates. Brad, you can count on it. This is true.
We might still be recording by then. Tyler, we got to talk AEW at a $1.07 and change. We're at $1.08 right now. Hit me with your AEW question.
Yeah, we do it for the people. Okay, Brad, AEW. I'm going to get straight to the point on this one. Following her win on Collision on Saturday, it was announced that Megan Bayne is officially All Elite. What are your hopes for her run with the company?
I mean, future world champ. I mean, the way that she looks at the ring, her presence, all of it, it's been great. Like, I was actually super surprised when she showed up. I was like, all right, cool, Megan Bayne, whatever. And then suddenly it's like, wait a second. Why is this so good now? Like, this is really good. This is awesome. So yeah, put her in all of the events, put her in the main events, put her in feuds with hosses, like have her be in a tag team, get a tag team division going, like do all kinds of stuff in there, like her versus Jamie Hayter. Yes, please. I will pay for that. Like that would rule. So yeah, I have very high hopes. I was actually pleasantly surprised. I had no idea what to expect. It was sort of like she was a surprise, and then it was like, oh wait, this is a really good surprise. She's awesome, and so far so good, man. Like so far so good. I have a related question, so I'm trying to hold back.
I love it. I wasn't hip to her work. I know she's done work in GCW and other
Yep.
promotions. Yeah, it's been great thus far. Even if we trace back to her official debut this year, if you will,
Mhm.
was in that inaugural women's casino gauntlet, and like you, she jumped off the screen as, oh wow, like Megan Bayne
Exactly what I'm
is one
talking
to
about. Like,
watch.
whoa.
And I would, hopefully this isn't just the AEW stand in me, but I would argue this is seen in both companies, AEW and WWE. Sometimes you have talent that debut and it seems like the rocket is strapped to them, and then it peters out over the next few months. I know in AEW we can think of Deonna Purrazzo, Taya Valkyrie. Ironically, the Vendetta, one of the best acts going in AEW. They need to pick up wins. We want them on Dynamite every week, but we just have this history of particular, well, talent, not just women, but talent in the company who come in, they're hot for a few months, they get a world title match, they lose, and then they just kind of are in mediocrity for name X amount of months.
Yeah.
For Megan Bayne, something feels different here. I agree with you that if and when she does get that title match, I don't think it's going to be a case where she just takes the L to build the champion further. I think this is going to be that anomaly of now when she gets that title match, that first one, she's going to win it and be a foundational piece for the division.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I was trying to think of somebody else because like, I want to say they're not, they disappear. They don't do anything with them, yada, yada, which is all true. And yet I say that. And the people that I'm trying to think of that just are there, they get hot or they get highlighted and they disappear are the people that I'm thinking about that have been wrestling lately. So like, to your point, like Taya Valkyrie, hot, disappeared, went to ROH, it was working all the time. It was just on ROH instead of AEW TV.
Yeah,
Um,
just like Athena,
just like
similar
Athena.
path. Except Athena's been
Um,
the longest reigning champ.
but Taya Valkyrie also wrestled this week, and so did who I thought of. Riho was injured, is not injured now. Was Yuka, but Yuka wrestled this week. And so there's these people, and I'm like, oh yeah, they just disappear. And I'm like, oh, but they wrestled this week. And then I don't know how to feel about it because it also just feels like they're not a part of a story. They just are wrestling this week. And that's the part I think that's missing right now for a lot of the women is just a good story because
Yeah,
we have Timeless Tony and Mariah May, and that's awesome.
right.
We have Stat and Willow trying to make up after Stat was just terrible for months. We'll see what happens there. And then we have Mercedes, and that's it. Mercedes is doing Mercedes thing, is just beefing with everybody. But what happened to Camille? I don't know what's going on there. Like, is that an injury? Is that I have no idea. It's just she popped smoke like Batman and disappeared into the night.
It's mysterious. And for fans who are not as, I want to say well connected, but that sounds like an unnecessary flex. For fans who just watch the product and don't follow, wrestling reporters or what have you, yeah, it makes no sense. Why would Camille just be gone? Seemingly that was the next Mercedes feud. And it seems like
Yeah.
they fast tracked the breakup as well. I thought we had Camille and Mercedes being a duo at least till Double or Nothing.
Yeah. Maybe there, I
1
mean,
year
there,
anniversary of Mercedes becoming champ.
maybe there was some backstage stuff that we're not privy to. Maybe she
Who
was
knows?
unhappy. Maybe there was an injury. Or who knows, there could have been a pregnancy. There's all kinds of things that could have happened. We don't know everything. We were rarely told much of anything really. So which is probably for the best, keep the personal business personal. But like it does raise questions about like, well, what's going on in the division, what is going to happen, and how can I feel more invested in it? And maybe that's not questions casual normal people ask, but weirdos like us, because we're the sickos.
Can,
Tyler,
can,
Mike,
can I fit
go
in one
ahead.
more question?
Yeah.
This is just simply yes or no. Did I tell you that AEW is returning to Arizona on February 19th?
Yes, he did.
Okay, very cool. We will discuss that more in depth soon enough.
I can't wait.
I'm very excited to
It's
see
going
you.
to be
And
it's going to be a long evening. We have 4
more,
hours of
more,
TV taping.
more. Yes. More on that in future weeks, I am sure.
Okay, Harley Cameron finally got her first win, Tyler.
Harley,
Finally
yes,
got the dub
she did it.
against Taya Valkyrie. Megan Bayne dominated Hyena Hera. Also got the graphic. Timeless Tony Storm is back and coming after Mariah May on her home turf. She and Buddy are going to get some shine over there, I'm sure. Mercedes Moné had it was a really fun match against Yuka Sakazaki. That was a really fun one. Stat apologized to Willow. Penelope Ford is set to fight Thunder Rosa. Britt is just sort of not there anymore. I don't know what's going on there. That seems like poison. I'm not sure what the deal is or what the plan is, but Britt's just not there and seems healthy. So hope everybody's good. If we just don't know about an injury or something. But Tyler, what do you hope for the women's division by All In?
Wow, by All In. So we're talking August, September. What do I hope for the women's division? Okay, so on the TBS side of things for Mercedes, we need a story for her. There really is, and you know I'm as big of a Mercedes guy as anyone. I was on the bandwagon for a little bit of, I don't know about Mercedes, what's going on? But then she reminded us time and time again that she is her. There's such a contrast right now of the two women's titles, as you eloquently pointed out, Brad. Tony Storm versus Mariah May, huge story factor, lots of emotion, lots of fan investment. And then on the other side for Mercedes, usually good to great matches.
Yep.
But the stories haven't consistently been there. Again, Mercedes versus Chris Statlander, some of our favorite matches from last year, but the story was really lacking, even particularly during the rematch. We just kind of, ran it back because we know it was going to be great, but I don't know if the actual story investment was there. What do I want by All In? Ideally, honestly, I want Mercedes to still be champ. Maybe that's a hot take, maybe it's not, but I want there to be a story for her. And certainly by All In, I think that would be a proper time to drop the title. But the story, the challenger has to be befitting of that moment. And then on the other side of things, I think Tony Storm is going to win in Australia. And she's so good at the story that I think we have no problem there. But by All In, I would like to see talent elevated. I'm thinking of Jamie Hayter returning to where she was before.
Thank you.
We spoke about this last week. The song, the work, the aura, the fan investment, you can see it's there. We need her back at that spot. Maybe that's too soon for Megan Bayne to be a champ, but I would like at least 1 to 2 talent elevated as legitimate title contenders by that time. Hopefully, if Sky Blue is healthy and ready to go, Queen Aminata, I know she has a match against Toni Storm this week on Dynamite. I think by All In, she should be a viable title contender. Will she? I don't know, but I think she checks all the boxes. Of course, we have Willow. I want her to be champ at some point. I want Athena on Wednesday nights.
Yes.
That needs to happen. So, Brad, I'm choosy. I want a lot. I would love for all of that to come true. But this year, I would like to see talent enter that next echelon of the division. Jamie Hayter is right there to get back to where she left off in terms of just being incredible and having huge fan investment.
Yep.
But the Sky Blues, the Queen Aminatas, dare I say, you laid it up for me. The Harley Camerons, I would like for one, or dare I say all of them, to enter that legitimate title contender echelon by All In. But I just need a story from Mercedes by that point. And I would love Toni Storm to be in the ring with, one of those ladies that I mentioned by All In. So hopefully, a new person in the division can be crowned. A new star can be made, if you will.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. There's people over in ROH that I really like that I would like to see come over to AEW and do things over there. There's, Timello is coming back.
Yes.
But she's going to be competing in ROH with, I think, Mira Shirakawa or Mina, not Mira. What am I doing there? Miro. I was on the brain.
Miro's on the brain.
Apparently.
Maybe we get Miro back by All In. Probably not.
That dude's gone. He's done.
That's probably a wrap.
Miro and Ricky Starks are on a raft somewhere to probably WWE land or somewhere else. And Aleister Black is steering the ship. I just don't think any of those things are going to happen, and that's okay. As long as everybody finds happiness enjoying what they do, we're kind of happy there. It's Penelope Ford. I want to see Penelope Ford finally get a push that doesn't get stopped by injury or by whatever other health issues that pop up. I really think she has it. She's got a ton of potential. She's good on the stick. She doesn't get a lot of chance to be on it, but I think if they could put her in the right storyline or right feud and give her a little bit to do, she'll surprise people because every time she's in there, she's great. Like really, really good, really fun to watch. I'd like to see her, but like you, I'd like to see other people get elevated, get Athena into AEW. Billy Starks is over there still, and Anna Jay is still in the company, and there's people from Stardom that are bouncing around in there, and there's the overlap there. I think that's actually what Ty is doing is teaming in a Stardom kind of tag team thing over in ROH. But I would like to see a lot more talent be highlighted, built up, put in meaningful stories, and not just like we have a tournament. That's fine. That's fine. But I want to feel invested. And even if they're in a tournament, I still want a reason to care that they win. The same way I felt about the Beast Mortos being in the tournament, where it's like, you are a beast. And I don't understand why beasts want to win tournaments. Shout out to Roosh returning, by the way. I think that gives it a jolt of life too. Roosh is back. Speaking of Beast Mortos. Yeah, man, I just want good things. And I think by All In, we're going to have a totally different scene. I could see the championship belts not being in the same hands right now. Mariah May is probably going to lose to Toni Storm. I would imagine that's the plan. And then hopefully there's a plan after that. It's always like, what's the next thing to keep this ball rolling? Because otherwise it's like, all right, what did we start up? Toni Storm won again. All right, somebody call Nia. Jeez. Or Nyla.
Nyla Rose, yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's been the unfortunate, I don't know if I want to use the word tradition, but yeah, that happens time and time again. There's so much momentum following that women's casino gauntlet. And granted, I wanted that match to be much longer, but it was a reminder of, again, speaking of stacked rosters, how much talent you have in AEW, especially on the women's side of things. And Brad, if Willow Nightingale is not holding AEW singles gold by the end of this year, I'll even extend it. I'll give it till December. By World's End, she has everything. You have so many talents on there. I think now is the time to elevate some of them. And again,
yep.
Jamie Hayter exists. Chris Statlander is literally the perfect wrestler. Let's get some stories.
Well, it sounds like, Tyler, that if Willow doesn't have gold this year in AEW specifically, not ROH, it doesn't sound like you're going to be very grateful. But I know you are grateful, and I am grateful too. And it's time to share a little of that gratitude with the people. Play the music.
And now it's time for a little self-reflection. So, think about yourselves. Or something.
All right, Brad, this gratitude segment for me, it had to happen on this episode following the announcement from the Sports Podcast Awards. Thank you so much to everyone who voted for us, for everyone who continues to listen and watch us every single week. Unfortunately, as you may have seen, we did not win this year. However, congratulations to the Lapsed Fan Podcast, and congratulations to Fightful as well for earning recognition. But Brad, I really took some time to reflect on not only how cool it was to be nominated in back-to-back years, but as you put online on Twitter, when a former friend and former guest of the show, Throwback, was having thoughts that you and I have had thoughts about candidly at times of, we're creating this content, should we continue? How do we reach an audience? What's our avenue? Are we getting joy from this? You had a really thoughtful response to him, and I won't, take all of your words here, but it was basically focusing on, well, if it brings you joy, you should go for it. If you have the bandwidth, if it makes you happy, you should do it. You and I, and you mentioned this on your reply, you and I have been able to not only spend, every Sunday together when we record, but develop these friendships and really discover this community that has been amazing and continues to bring me so much joy in my life. So I am grateful for everyone who voted for us. I continue to be grateful for you and everyone who comments, who likes, subscribes, reaches out to us, because I think we've created something really special here. And when in doubt, if anything, I know that it means a lot to me and brings me a lot of happiness. So lots to be grateful for this week.
Yeah, I was reminded that we are not just privileged to be able to, have our lives and all these different things involving the podcast, but we're privileged to be able to have the means just to be able to do the podcast. And what has netted us is these connections to the other people to think like, well, yeah, it's fun. We're talking about wrestling here. We get to do some creative stuff. We get to have a segment like this and the Bachelor segment and Trap Tales and Live Event Jones, which is just hilarious to say out loud. And we got a promo of the week, and we got all these different like segments where we could just be silly in the space. Where else are you going to be able to do that? And I have a computer that works, and I can do that, and a microphone and a camera and all of those things. And I just think about that a lot. Throwback wouldn't be able to ask me that question. And to me and to Rob and to all these other people, if we weren't in this space doing these creative things. And I'm just so blessed to be able to do that people would take time out of their day to listen to us. Even if it's a couple of minutes, 30 seconds, whatever, you click the link, the video popped up, you're here going like, yeah, these people, I don't know them, but they're talking and I enjoy that. That's insane to me. I think about that a lot, that people would be like, yeah, I'm going to spend my time. Time is currency. You cannot earn. It's something you can only spend. And to take that currency and spend it on us, that's pretty dope. I'm so grateful for that. Grateful for you and grateful for being able to do this.
Well said. It's easy to forget about all of that when you just think about the content space. And again, the heavy week that was personally, professionally, it's easy to forget, all the blessings we have. So well said, my friend. Great way to wrap up this episode. But I do have one final ask of you. What did we miss?
Tyler, we missed a bunch of things. My list, I shortened it, though, when I looked at how long it's going to be. If I read them all off, I'm just going to hit it with Luka is a Laker. And that was a thing that happened. That was allowed to happen. That was a thing that happened, Tyler.
They did it again.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's it. Okay.
I'm moving on.
Okay. I have one as well, and it's also basketball. However, I am going to go to the WNBA landscape.
I knew you would. That's why I decided to do this.
Yeah, you got your Mercury shirt. I got my Golden State Valkyries cap. This is what we do. The landscape in the WNBA, easy for me to say, has completely shifted within the last week. Kelsey Plum to the LA Sparks, Jewel Lloyd to the Las Vegas Aces. The Phoenix Mercury look completely different. Brittany Griner left for Atlanta.
It's crazy.
Sophie Cunningham traded to Indiana, and Natasha Cloud is gone. And we have brought in Alyssa, as if I'm a member of the Mercury. The Mercury have brought in Alyssa Thomas, Satu Sabali, still have Kalia Copper. It's going to be a massive, massive year in the W, and I'm sure the Mercury and other teams are not done yet. So, Brad, like you, I am keeping my eyes on the association.
Yeah, it's a lot of basketball news, dude, like all over the place. I am convinced the Luka trade happened specifically because of sexism. They did it to distract us from all the cool stuff happening in the WNBA. This is all misogynistic bull. Shame on you, Silver.
Before we get out of here, one more shout out to a dear friend and former guest. If you are a fan of hoops, especially the W and or the University of Arizona athletics, please be sure to follow Erica Day at Erica Lee, spelled L-E-A Day. She does amazing work covering multiple games, multiple leagues. She's incredible and has additional thoughts. And you can check in with her about the Mercury and more.
She's been on it, yeah, for sure.
She has been on it. Brad, we have been on it. We have been on this episode for nearly 90 minutes. I got nothing left. I left it all out on the court for this episode. I thank you for all that you do. We thank all of you listening and watching once again for all that you do to support us. It does not go unnoticed, and we are so grateful for you. Once again, you can follow us at GIPod19 for exclusive show updates and more. We'll see you next week. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.